Very sad story out of Joe Biden today. He has been diagnosed with prostate cancer, and it has reportedly spread to his bones. So amid this news, there are a lot of questions as to what may have been known or not have been known by his inner circle. If you listen to this one commentator here on MSNBC this morning, they're suggesting that, the writing or the handwriting should have been on the wall a while ago. Listen in.
Doesn't it take some time for prostate cancer to develop to a point where it would spread to the bones?
Oh, he's had this for many years, maybe even a decade, growing there and spreading. That's right. It's a little surprising. I look back at the records, and there's no evidence that when he got his health status and the medical records were released that he had a prostate-specific antigen. Now, it is true that a lot of people recommend not doing a prostate-specific antigen after 70, but President Biden's been in public life a very long time. He was vice president and had a lot of exams under 70. So it's a little surprising that they didn't do it, and maybe President Biden decided he didn't want the test. Many men do decide they don't want a PSA. But this is, it is also aggressive. When we talk about aggressive, part of what we mean is that Gleason score. That score is from it's 2 up to 10. And he's at a 9. And that means that the cancer doesn't look normal. It looks very abnormal, which is probably why it's in the bone. And as you point out, Joe, it's been around for a very long time in President Biden years. Exactly how many we don't know, obviously. And it is a little surprising to many of us oncologists that he wasn't diagnosed earlier.
So was he not diagnosed earlier? Did they try and hide this? Did he not actually get the exam? So that's a possibility as well, that he chose not to get the prostate exam because he didn't want to know the answer. In which case, I just can't imagine living with that as his wife or as his child. How did his family not say, Dad, you need to get this exam? How did the people in the White House not say, Mr. President, you need this exam? How is it that we just started finding out? Apparently he had some symptoms in which he was urinating a lot, and that led to him finally going and getting this particular exam. But as I see some of you suggesting here, maybe he had it earlier, maybe he actually knew, maybe they actually tried to cover it up. We don't know the answer, but don't forget back in, I want to call it 2022, he did say something that was a bit peculiar. He was talking about how he had cancer. Remember that? I'll play you the clip.
And because it was a 4-lane highway that was accessible, my mother drove us, and rather than us be able to walk. And guess what? The first frost, you know what was happening? You had to put on your windshield wipers to get literally the oil slick off the window. That's why I and so damn many other people I grew up have cancer. And why for the longest time, Delaware had the highest cancer rate in the nation.
So that's resurfaced today online because people are saying, okay, when he said he had cancer, what was that about? At the time, his staff completely dismissed it. And that's what's so crazy. They just completely dismissed it as just another Biden gaffe. So he made that remark in July 2022. And as a result of that, there were all these questions about his health. That, by the way, it was made while speaking in Massachusetts. And so the White House came out and promptly clarified everything. And they said, no. President Biden was just referring to his past experiences with non-melanoma skin cancers, which had to be removed before he took office. And they emphasized that he was not announcing any kind of new or active cancer diagnosis at the time. But given everything that we're learning, given everything that we now know, given everything that Jake Tapper, if we can give him any credit, because, oh my gosh, like this guy, it's pot calling kettle, right? The fact that he's out there with a book, sort of funny. Let me just say, these guys over at Babylon B, I love them. They summed it up really well here. Jake Tapper basically, uncovers startling evidence that Biden's decline was covered up by Jake Tapper. And that's sort of effectively what was going on, right? Jake Tapper, who we've played the soundbite for you before, was attacking one Lara Trump after Lara said, he's slowing down. And he's like, how dare you insult him because he has a stutter. Oh, you're just such a mean person. I mean, it was just something to see. I encourage you to go back and look at that either on my shorts feed or in this feed of the shows, because it was insane. So he was part of the cover up, and now of course he's trying to absolve himself from that. But I wonder if this takes a little bit of attention away from his book right now, because it's kind of hard to go after him pretty directly, knowing of course that the poor guy has cancer that has spread to his bones. Donald Trump and Melania Trump coming out and saying they wished him a speedy recovery. I mean, obviously it's a terrible thing to have happen, but it does, I think, bring us back to those moments where we really wondered why it was that nobody could see what everybody else could see. It was the elephant in the room, or the emperor has no clothes, right? I mean, he was challenged. And every time we'd run a soundbite or play something where he was challenged, we were being accused, those of us here in the conservative side of things, of running cheap fakes. And I'm like, this is not a cheap fake. Watch it yourself and tell me how that seems like somebody who's really able to do the job. So now I think there's going to be a whole slew of new questions about whether or not he can do the job in light of all of this. I mean, forgive me, whether he could have ever done the job. Why would you have ever allowed him to run again, knowing how slow he was and possibly the threat that he may have had cancer? I mean, it's just pretty, I'm going to use a word here, deplorable. Deplorable. I leave you with that. We're going to get to the Letitia news tomorrow because we're coming up on an hour 40, and that's a really long show for all of us. I appreciate Don Baca and David Lorenzo and the whole crew being here right through the bitter end. Luke Walker, great to have you. David as well. I mean, amazing. But Babylon B has some funny titles. Don't forget to go over to 76 Research when you can. I'll see you right back here live tomorrow.